So we are back with Team Rising. We've got Holly and Estuardo in the house today, and we've got a new op-ed in The Hill that I thought it would be good to discuss with the two of you. Saying, here's the headline, no one cares about Joe Biden's gaffes except media and politicos. This is by former Governor Ed Rendell, who I believe, by the way, is a Biden supporter. So let's just make sure that that's out there.
He lays that out.
Yeah, he lays that out there. It's sort of, is he right?
No, I think
is there fixation on this wrongly?
I think he's right. He's talking about everyone in this room, including the camera team. Like we all focus on every single gaffe and then realize that it matters mostly on one side because we've watched how many years of this president already, and during his run where has said things that we thought we would never even see from a presidential candidate. And yet the voters still come out and they support their candidate because they feel like, who cares if he made a mistake? I think ultimately Biden is the candidate who's going to perhaps hurt himself the most with larger and bigger issues on stage, face to face with Donald Trump, assuming that's the candidate Democrats choose. But these gaffes, no one's paying attention.
Yeah, but Holly, do you think though that with Donald Trump, he was an outsider, he wasn't really a politician, nobody expected him to be very polished, but Joe Biden's coming from a very different perspective. I mean, he's a member of the establishment. He's been doing this for a long time. Shouldn't he not make the same mistakes? I mean, it's not an apples to apples comparison necessarily.
It's not, but ultimately the voters, I think I have to agree with Estuardo on this. I mean, we've normalized politicians being unscripted and kind of being real and transparent and kind of this raw authenticity, and I think people just like that better. They don't want somebody that's scripted and it's goofy and it's fine now, but man, when we get to the general, it's going to be a different story.
Well, and that's the issue, right? Because Biden's whole campaign rests on this idea he's the most electable.
Yeah.
When you can't remember what state you're in, when you're getting your war stories wrong, when you're consistently having trouble articulating what you want to articticeven issue of electability, right? And that's my thing. I don't think it's not.
I agree with you,
and I don't even think the right word is gaffe. Right? It's not a gaffe when you think you're in Vermont and you're really in New Hampshire, right? It's not a gaffe when you can't remember what school you just spoke at, right? Those aren't gaffes. Those are lapses in memory that are a serious issue when you're talking about who's going to be able to defeat this president that we all very badly want to defeat.
So it's okay for the rock band to say, thank you, Detroit, when he's actually in Chicago.
Right.
But not okay for Biden. At the end of the day, the music and the concert was amazing. Right, George W. Bush.
But
he was the president.
Is the music amazing? Is the concert amazing?
Come on,
that's the question.
the concert
but his own wife is saying,
come on,
you may like the other candidates better, but you got to vote for my guy because of electability.
Well, I was going to say, it's like George W. Bush, 2 terms. He was a president you want to have a beer with. President Barack Obama, you want to see his NCAA brackets, right? I mean, these are issues that the majority of people really connected with. And the music was great in certain instances, and sometimes it wasn't, right? But I think Biden has a long record that most voters generally say he was good, whatever that was, whether he was a senator or as a vice president. And that's what they're going to hold him out to. But, I could be wrong.
So you don't think it adds up, Holly?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, again, it's not going to be an issue now, but I do think I think in the general is when it is going to be apparent. And I agree with you on the gaffe issue. It's not the gaffes, it's his quickness and it's his memory. And, you can be fine on policy, but if you're not exciting your base, and you're not going to win.
That's what the VP is going to be for this time.
People don't vote for the VP.
They
vote for whoever's on the ticket.
He's going to have to energize that ticket. He's going to have to energize the ticket. I agree with you. Biden is Biden in his brand, but you see where he is with young voters. He's nowhere. He's going to have to get somebody who's going to have to excite the young voter too.
That's a great transition, Estuardo. Thank you for that. That was like a layup. We've got a new poll from young voters, college students. This is Chegg, their College Pulse poll. And they find basically that college students love Bernie, they love Warren, and that's about it. The front runner, Joe Biden, is all the way down at 9%. And it's sort of one of the things that I think is interesting here is, clearly these folks are looking at this through an ideological lens. They really like the progressives here. They're not won over by Mayor Pete's, like, basically, I'm a young guy, you should vote for me thing. They're not won over by Biden saying, I'm electable, I was Barack Obama's guy, you got to be with me. They're looking at the policies, and they're on team progressive.
Well, I can't imagine that there's a young voter out there who's like, oh, I just want somebody who's got good experience and sit back while I watch CNN, which would be Biden, right? They clearly want someone who's going to energize them. Bernie has been throwing red meat at them since free college all the way down the line, and people that will get behind someone like that, who they feel will go toe to toe with Donald Trump and really swing it out with him, and that's Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. Now Elizabeth Warren and Bernie. But my concern is that the turnout of the young voters still. So as much as this poll is interesting, if they don't turn out to vote, then I'm going to keep moving on to the voters.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question. Is how impactful is the young vote, anyways? What can we expect really for the election, and are they going to actually turn out and be at the caucuses, sitting there and fighting for their candidate?
No, I mean, they never have, and they never will, and that's just part of the game and how you.
She's harsh.
I mean, it's just
I was trying to frame it nicely.
Truth, right? It's unvarnished truth.
It is and it's not. I mean, look. Yes, young voters turn out at lower numbers than the oldest generation, no doubt about it. However, what we saw in 2018 was a major uptick in young voter turnout, especially compared to 2014, the last, apples to apples midterm comparison. So I wouldn't dismiss young voters so quickly. Yeah. Their numbers are rising.
Well, when you're handing out checks, they tend to show up.
I was using reverse psychology,
make
with my kids.
The difference in a key election.
They can. In some states, they can. I mean, we saw Beto O'Rourke in Texas. He got a significant portion of his vote by turning out college campuses. It wasn't enough, but he got a lot of support there. I mean, but again, you have to have energy, you have to have charisma.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about back to Biden, he doesn't have that, so he's not going to generate that. And if Warren and Bernie weren't offering to wipe out everyone's debt,
I will say though, but hold on. I mean, the number one issue that young voters cite isn't getting their debt wiped down. It's climate change.
Yeah,
right. But they're looking at the future.
Okay, but if you told them they could only have one. You can either implement these policies that are going to impact the environment by, that much, or we'll wipe out your debt. Then I want to see how they answer. I mean, it's quite possible that they're saying the environment because that's the right thing to say. But is that really what they?
It's also quite possible,
Estuardo,
that they actually care about.
Imagine that. I was just going to say.
But it's given the choice, either college debt gone or we save the environment. Which one are you going to choose?
We'll just let them file for bankruptcy and have both.
Or donate.
There you go.
Climate change and file bankruptcy.
File bankruptcy and you're good to go.
That's what I'm good at.
Way to bring it full circle. Thanks, guys. Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to hear how the New Hampshire Republican Party is preparing for 2020.
And we dive into the controversy around the Democratic debate rules with the DNC official, Adrian Watson.
Have a fabulous day, everybody. We will see you back here tomorrow.